film and to participate in the film, and what were your thoughts in deciding to do it? And what was your reaction when you saw it for the first time?
Mike asked me for many years, and he says it's 10 years. I remember 5 or 6. What I say about fame, I truly mean. It's Mike calls it the toxic waste of creativity, and I think there's a lot of validity to that. You know, if you're an artist, if you're a Roy, if you're a Mike, if you're an Alice, fame increases your resources. You need fame to sell your art. A toxic waste of that fame, of that art form, is fame. It has no intrinsic value. There's nothing about it that's good.
But I'm trying to prove him wrong in this part in your life.
Yeah.
Because it's coming to me, but I'm giving back love and feeding the people, you know.
Yeah.
And so.
No, I think
yeah.
I think that's what I mean by taking it to the streets. You know, you're able to take that and put it in the streets, but it is difficult. And I said no for years, and then I had a very trite moment where I started feeling a little sorry for myself. I wasn't getting invited to celebrity golf tournaments. And I called up Mike and his agent, and I said, you know, I'm thinking maybe I'll do this. You think I'd get invited? And the guy, William Morris, said, oh, absolutely. We have a whole department that can do it. And then I went to the hospital. And in the hospital, I was heavily medicated and really feeling sorry for myself. And called him up and said, I'll do it.
I didn't know that was the reason why you did it.
That was it. With one of those very low consciousness movements. And by the way, no one's invited me. So it's not working.
When Steve Jobs came, was it a PC or Windows or Apple?
It was Apple, or he wouldn't have fixed it. But it is amazing, you know. He gave me his card, which I still carry. I think I showed it to you once. And when I go into, if I have trouble in an Apple store, as soon as they say to me, oh, no problem at all, we'll have it back to you in 2 days. Gee, I can't wait 2 days, and I take out the card, and then everybody wants a picture with the card.
It's like a comic book, right?
And I get a new computer every time. I just did a screening at Apple, and when I told that story and took out the card, I had to wait about an hour after because 350 people took selfies with the card.
Question up here. I'm really curious about the Joplin Hendrix era. That's an almost unbelievable part of the story. Can you, why did you represent them, and what was it like hanging with those guys? Did you know they were Joplin and Hendrix at the time?
I did, but I didn't really. It was sort of a blur. It didn't really mean it wasn't significant. I mean, it was cool, but it didn't really mean much. I was just trying to make money to eat. I think they all had managers who were actually real managers. A fellow named Albert Grossman managed Janis Joplin, who was one of my heroes. I don't know if Jimmy had a manager, but he probably was unmanageable. But it was an amazing time, and it was just a flea bag hotel. I don't mean that in a bad way. I mean, it was just, you know, a place that we could afford. It was a great hotel. But it was, I think, $15 a night or $17 a night. And nobody was making money.
Was Jimmy a funny guy? Like,
Jimmy was
he's such an iconic guy. I'm sure we all.
He was very quiet. He was really quiet. Loved women. Always had a smile. Always had a good buzz. Janis, on the other hand, was a typical drinker. Lived a hard life. No, it wasn't. I would say the Chambers brothers were the happiest group that sort of stayed there. And Hendrix was always happy, but he came in and out. Morrison was in pain always, but amazing. He was one of the creative lights that everybody sort of respected. It was interesting, the fellow who they would meet around the pool and jam. And the fellow who was the leader was Arthur Lee from Love. That's who everybody would look towards. You do this part, you do this, you do a harmony here, you do. But it was Arthur Lee that everybody sort of did the bow to.
How's your health now? How do you feel?
Pretty good. I feel great. I eat a lot of rice food, so I feel really good. Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's
maybe I can answer that for this room through how Shep's lives, my life and Shep's life kind of intersected. I mean, he created the Emerald Show. I wasn't that great of a person in my 20s, and I hit rock bottom, and then it was that show that kind of brought me to food. I really didn't have an outlet, and through food, almost like how he found Roger Verger, it just became who I am, about taking care of people, and it was this real maternal nature that I tapped into. And then meeting him and knowing that he started that show, then got us really connected in this kind of space. And then, I don't know, I mean, that's the way I look at it with him.
You know, I think everyone has in them, every child has that innocence of service, and you sort of lose it along the way. You know, you always see a little kid run over to another little kid and hug him and kiss him or share a toy with him. And I think the culinary arts, more than any other art form, and religion when it's practiced right, like by His Holiness, both of them, the core is really service. You can't be a great chef unless you love the people you're serving.
Yeah. Service like water, you know, you just constantly flowing through you and out of you. You're not questioning. So then it changes the way you think and feel, and, you know, interact with people. So you're allowed.
Yeah, and the culinary arts, you can taste it. I can really taste a chef who has a love for the audience as opposed to someone who's doing it just for money. You can really feel it.
So if you're feeling bad, y'all need to cook. I'm telling you.
Yes, the waving hand.
As an educator, I'm thinking with your wisdom and your expertise, you know, college students and younger people today in our 21st century, do you have a book that you're thinking about putting out, or is there a book out there right now that we can share in the classroom with our students? Even for ourselves?
You know, Roy's book, which is amazing, was edited by
I've known him for 50, well, I haven't seen him in 51 years. So tonight's the first time. And he is absolutely what you see is what you get. He's always been wonderful.
In the white hoodie. It's not a hoodie? That's all I know. Sorry about that.
No, but they weren't complete. What she asked is with the comments about my mother tongue-in-cheek or formidable. They were real, but they weren't complete. The complete feeling is that I know she really loved me. And like many of the first generation Jewish women in America, at least that I've experienced, sometimes have trouble expressing that love in a way that's easy for someone to take. There tends to be an edge of dealing with life, and she was one of them. So cruel was one of her traits, and it's the one. This is Mike's movie. This is not my movie. I happen to be the subject of it, and that's what he chose to put in. And it's a little uncomfortable for me when I watch it, but part of it was true. She was cruel, sadly for her.
Do you have a good relationship with your brother now?
I do now, yeah. I didn't for many years. But at my mother's funeral, we sort of both realized that it was sort of her, not us. You know, it was, and we reconciled and we're very friendly now. Although I haven't shown the documentary yet.
You might have saw it last night, though. Right in the middle. Right in the middle.
You were so successful managing other groups. What happened with Pink Floyd?
Pink Floyd's a funny story. They were going back to London. Jimmy said to him, Shep will get you a gig on the way back to London. They said, oh, that would be great. They left the room and I said to Jimmy, what's a gig? And he said, it's a show. You get a job. How am I going to get him a job? I don't know. I know nothing. And he hooked me up with if any of you were in the music business here, there's a very famous place called the Kinetic Playground in Chicago that was sort of like the Fillmore of Chicago. And it was run by a fellow named Aaron Russo, who was a bigger-than-life character. Ended up marrying Bette Midler and ran for mayor of Las Vegas. And he booked them in for $2,500. And when I told Pink Floyd they were going to play Kinetic Playground the following weekend, they said, "You're our manager. That's amazing. We've never made $2,500. It's a great club." Well, unfortunately, when they got there, the club burned down. Aaron torched the club, and he needed some sucker to put his band in to make believe for insurance that there actually was going to be a show. And he couldn't go to a real agent or anybody real, because then he'd be out of business forever. So I got a message at the front desk that night saying the club burned down, and by the way, you're not our manager. They didn't pay us. And then I got a letter from Nick Mason officially firing me. And he was the drummer, and it was on Mason Towers Stationery. And I was so impressed. I showed out that they had their own building. I was like, oh my God.
Did you ever meet them later on?
I did, but never had a close relationship. Yeah, no. I'm sure I remember it better than they do. Probably won't be in the documentary.
We can go double shotgun here in the front and right behind.
I just wondered if you had any influence from like Seymour Heller, the Liberace manager, like when he first played the role, they wanted to do something different, and so the Northern Lights here would stand out. Did you hear about that, or?
Well, Liberace, one of my heroes. Seymour, for sure, one of my heroes.
Okay. I wondered if there was any.
Oh yeah. Alice and I used to go to Liberace shows in Vegas almost every year. The fact that I don't know how many of you have ever seen a Liberace show, but as an entertainer and as someone in the business, the things he did, nobody did. He would come out on stage, he wouldn't play his first song for probably 15 minutes, and he'd get 4 or 5 standing ovations. The movie was very real about it. He'd come out, and first a mirrored Rolls-Royce limo would come out. Then these poodles would come out of the car. Then this butler would come out. Then he'd come out. Then he'd show his jewelry. He'd walk the front of the stage showing his jewelry. Get standing ovations on his jewelry. It was a good 20 minutes. Yeah. And then he had all these little dogs who were in the show. And you go backstage, and as soon as all the people got out, he said, "Say hello to you. Get these runts out of here." And I also rented his house in Las Vegas. And I slept in a room that was the Miss Piggy room. It was all pink and Miss Piggy's from.
Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Right behind. Yeah.
Are you still moving around in the music business, or are you just in the Cuban area?
Yeah, really. I still work with Alice, and I've been, sort of whispering in Roy's ear, just because I think what he's doing is so exciting and so needed. And for me, Mr. Berger was really what got me into culinary arts. And I know that if he could see what Roy was doing, he would be the guy standing on a platform applauding, because I think for any artist, you wanted to be able to get to people, not just elitists. And that's really what he's done. So. Yes.
Are you still involved with the Tibet cause?
I am. I'm not as involved as I was in years past, and His Holiness is not as involved as he was in years past, but I still am involved. It's a difficult journey.
Are you a Jew?
I am a Jew.
Maybe a little discussion about the making of the film and working with Mike. And
I had nothing to do with it.
It was him.
Yeah. I interviewed for about 10 hours. My only suggestion was really Roy. And we spent a couple of days filming in New York, because I thought, it would be nice to show the future. And he just didn't have time to put it in, although it will be on the DVD extra, I'm told. So I wasn't really involved in the process. My scariest moment, one of the strangest moments of my life, was about 6 months into it. I went to see Mike for lunch, and I went into his apartment, and it was like the CSI crime scene laboratory. My entire life was on the wall. It was so bizarre. Yes, sir.
You worked in so many different arenas: film, TV, music, food. Did you have a favorite?
Food. The culinary arts for me, it's so immediate, and it's so apparent, and it's so one-on-one that it's a for me, was a remarkable art form. You know, you can't, the culinary arts, you can't pull the kind of stunts that I pulled with Alice. It's right in front of you, it is what it is, and it has to be real or not real.
Instead of trashing hotel room, chefs clean it up after
Exactly.
and organize the hotel room and polish it off.
And also, it's over. You know, the meal's over, which is a beautiful thing in my life, because normally nothing's ever over. You just wake up and you start the next day. So, yeah, for me, the culinary arts, and also because Mr. Berger was so significant in my life, and that's sort of where he came.
Do y'all know who Mr. Berger is before this movie? He's a saint.
We got double. I think the lady and then go to you.
This lady.
Yes.
I have regards for you from Martha Luttrell.
Oh, wonderful. Martha was a great lady, was a great agent.
Is a great lady.
Yeah, I said is a great lady and was a great agent. Yeah. And sir. Sir?
I'm amazed at the amount of footage that I was seeing about your life. I could understand later on when you were moving in the same circle of all those celebrities, but you had the footage early on. It's like you had a cameraman following you around your entire life.
I think that was really Mike finding things, and in many cases putting them together. Like the hotel room in LA, that was stock footage that he just put together. There was nobody filming, and we would have never let it happen. Way too illegal.
Special effects.
And maybe one or two more. I think they need the theater. So, you okay? Two more? Okay. You want to pick them
Back there.
In your dealings with people, how do you know when to walk away or when to speak up?
You never really know anything. You take your best shot. You know, it's not like architecture, management. What I do is very, there's no defining lines. It's not very fluid. I think the thing that's hardest in what I do, and I used to tell all my artists, was it's really easy for me to get a no. Getting a yes, which is my job, I can't tell you it's going to take me 2 hours, or it's going to take me a day, or it's 2 days. But my job was to get it done, not to come back and say I can't get it done. And that's a nebulous, that's based on trust. You really have to trust the person you're working with to be able to do that. I never signed contracts with my artists, basically because of that. It really they had to trust me, and I had to trust them. And you know, even in my relationship with Roy, which is very new, we've had that a few times where I'll say, you know, you just got to let my stomach, give me some time, my stomach will figure it out. It's just not black and white. I wish it was, it'd be easier. And the last one? Wake up in the morning. That's really, yeah. I mean, I hope that all my kids have healthy children, wake up in the morning, have a good day, and go to sleep at night. So it's been my modus operandi my whole life. I've never really had a goal. Not part of my, just not the way my brain works.
But is there any level which you're going to achieve and you'll say, like, okay, I'm done. Like, this is it.
He's living on Maui.
Yeah, I was on Maui.
I think he got there. This is all just icing, you know?
Thank you all. Thank you, Roy, so much.
Of course.